Hi, I'm John Paul Caponigro. Welcome to my DVD series, Revolution. The black and white or neutral palette is a very unique palette. It does specific things to our nervous system and encourages us to look in particular ways. We also relate to it differently, and part of that is historic. Several decades ago, black and white images were the predominant form of images we saw in the news media, where color was relatively infrequent. So for a long time, black and white became a kind of hallmark of truth. That's since been shifted as media evolves, but we still relate to it in very different ways. There are psychological ways that we relate to it. Many people say that black and white images are more dreamlike, and many people do actually dream in black and white. There are a host of other associations that is really useful to consider. So the black and white palette does very specific things, both neurologically and visually, but also culturally and psychologically. And it's important to consider that when you're moving into this fascinating realm. If we think about the neutral palette, what we're doing is we're stripping out all the hue by running saturation down to zero. Fascinating to see how this works on our nervous system. Luminosity is actually something that's used to encode space and form. It's one of the things between highlights and shadows, or the chiaroscuro of things, that encodes volume. So it really helps us understand things and spaces. It's the least relative component of color. We have a very sensitive ability to detect small variations in lightness, and that's relatively stable. Unlike with hue, where our visual system adapts every time that we move into warmer and cooler environments. And of course, saturation moves as both of those shift. So saturation is probably the most dynamic of the three. So luminosity is to some degree the most stable. That may be why we often consider it an essential component to any color relationship. Words that are often used to describe the black and white palette are abstract, essential, formal, neutral, quiet, restful. There are a lot of connotations to the past and the historic, which is often linked with the truth, unequivocal, or not debatable. There's also connotations of dreamlike, otherworldly, ethereal, because the black and white palette transforms the color world that we see so much. In many cases, people consider it to be more interpreted, which is an interesting conflict with this notion of truthful and representational. So there are a lot of complex issues at work here. If we compare this fully saturated image with its neutral counterpart, you can see that our visual response to these two images, our emotional response to these two images, is entirely different. Look how much clearer and deep the space seems, how much more volumetric this iceberg seems. Look how much more clearly the moon stands out with a little extra contrast. So this works on us in an entirely different way. This might seem like the past. Both have a slightly dreamlike quality. This seems more sensual, immediate, present. Simply sensitizing yourself to these qualities is extremely important. I think that's the most important thing here, to develop a sensitivity for what black and white does for your images, what's unique about the black and white palette, and how that can further your unique vision. It's not as simple as simply plotting densities and getting detail in the right areas, or a level of contrast that will catch the eye. It's an essential component for communicating in a subtle, nuanced, complex, expressive way. This can help further your vision and help further your understanding of the world around you and your images and other people's images as well.